I think Gambit won that one.
I think you're hearing me. Check in.
Pretty clear favourites there in, obviously, favour of the Evil Geniuses. You didn't happen to see the percentage vote on LoL Esports by any chance?
It was around about 57% to Gambit, so very close between these two, and that is honestly how it's always worked out between these two. It always been very close matches. So if you just joined us, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be Gambit as the blue side and Evil Geniuses as the red side. This is game 6 of the day. There is one more to follow after this one. It has been a long day, and of course, well, you know, this is the 6th game, and this is the 6th pause, so why the hell not?
Yeah, basically, unfortunately, apparently there is a setting that has reset itself, so we're probably just reconfiguring the key bindings, making sure that they get that all reconfigured once again, and we will get this match underway. It wouldn't be our day if we didn't have it.
Well, let's recap exactly what we've had today. So the first game of the day was Fnatic versus Gambit. Fnatic coming into this one, they won the spring split. They won the spring playoffs. They were definitely the #1 team. They did take down Gambit in that first game, so very confident performance. Going into game 2, we had Meteor Makers versus SK Gaming, and the new boys have been putting on a show today. Meteor Makers looking very strong against SK Gaming. SK Gaming, unfortunately, are looking like they're a little bit out of practice.
Yeah, they definitely need to get back on form, and I have to touch on Charu's Ari. Every single team fight ended with a clutch charm that secured them 1 extra kill. Every single time they trade 1 for 1, Charu just said, no, I'll have an extra one. 1 for 1, nope, I'll have an extra one, throughout the entirety of that match. That, of course, was followed by Ninjas in Pajamas versus the Lemon Dogs. And the Lemon Dogs, let's be honest, they controlled it from very early on in that match.
The dogs look good.
Yeah, the dogs look good. No puppies this time round.
We'll get back to the other games because we are about to get underway. In fact, I might as well finish off because Alternate then went up against Evil Geniuses and they looked very strong again.
Yeah, Alternate, they picked their engagements and they picked apart Evil Geniuses before, of course, Fnatic did exactly the same to SK, and that brings us to this matchup where once again we're going to see defensive posturing. Unlike Fnatic versus SK where a million spells and abilities were used but nobody died, there's nothing of the sort here.
Snoopy trying to use his presence to keep them from putting that ward down, but they were not too worried. But we do see Crepo doing exactly the same. So both those Wraith wards have been placed, give some good coverage of the junglers. Doesn't look like we're going to see any invades. We did, of course, have them in the last 2 games, and shock of all shocks, by the time I get back to casting, nobody wants to fight.
So we'll see how quickly this will escalate, because it does look like we're going to have straight up matchups in this particular one. So 1v1s across the board, as well as the duo laners going against one another. And there's actually a fair amount of kill potential in all of these lanes, which is quite nice to see, you know, especially up in that top lane. Zach, deceptively strong at these early levels. And a very nice pink ward from Darker there.
Yeah, pink ward coming out from Darker, so it won't be available for later on, but that has cleared the vision. Will it be long enough? I expect to see whether Crepo is going to go back there, but that will clear the vision and maybe stop any ideas of where Diamond Fox is going to be going. So that means we may see an early, potentially, gank coming out from Diamond.
And it's great to see Diamond Fox back on Xin Zhao. I remember when he was playing him in Season 2 when, you know, he introduced it again, you know, another jungler into the scene and raised it to popularity before moving on to some of the others. And it really suits the Gambit playstyle, just very aggressive, very in your face, and obviously very much about picking those engagements and those fights. This is the LCS, in case you forgot what you were watching, everybody. And we are now back into lane. Genja and Darker in the bottom lane.
And of course, that big red LCS means it's the European LCS, not the North American, which would be blue. I don't know why either.
Of course, no one knows that European color is blue. That's news for everybody. A bit of poke going back and forth here between Genja and Dark, as well as Yellow Pete and Crepo. But once Darker does get that additional level, he'll be able to sustain Genja through some of this poke. So it'll eventually work in favor of Gambit. And basically, Yellow Pete and Crepo have to play aggressive to win this lane.
Well, Darian playing a little bit aggressive in that top lane, stopping Wicked picking up his blobs, but he will continue to do that one. It's going to be an interesting, definitely a slugfest, this one. I'm not too sure there's going to be too much action in this top lane.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those lanes that's difficult to call because, of course, the shield from Shen will help prevent the damage from that explosive burst that the Flubber Man is putting down. But what you can notice is Darren is trying to step on those little globules. If he steps on it, it kills it in much the same way that you can kill a Zyra seedling. So you can prevent the sustain. Snoopy is being a very, very sneaky person. He's just outside vision range. So
spotted.
are you sure?
Yeah.
Just spotted.
They pinged it the moment he did it.
So just at the max. And obviously not going to be able to set that up, but a good attempt nonetheless.
Yeah, managed to try and sneak his way through, but not sneaky enough, I'm afraid. Let's have a look at the mid lane, of course. It is going to be Froggen this time on Malphite and Alex Ich on Zed. And This is pretty, I wouldn't say counter, it's kind of like a nullify.
Yeah, that's exactly what the best way to think about it. The fact that Malphite's got that passive help. Take a look at this though. Froggen is a little overextended. Level 3 flash is available. Here's the knockup.
They're going to go aggressive on him. He's very low on mana. They are going to get the 3 talent strike, knock him up. 3 talent strike?
Yeah,
3. They get a 3 talons.
That actually did happen in one of the promo videos that I think Morello put out, where Xin Zhao would land his third auto attack and spawn 3 talents.
Yeah.
So it is the correct spell name. Froggen walks away, does not burn his flash, does not burn his ignite, and to be honest, it was a bit uninspiring.
Yeah, there wasn't a great deal that happened there, let's face it. Let's have a look back down the bottom lane, because the AD carry and support of Genja and Darker this time up against Yellow Pete and Crepo. And really, we didn't see any level 2 dives. We didn't see anyone getting that advantage at level 2. We do see, of course, all hitting level 3 now. And still nobody going for the pressure. Yellow Pete kind of being zoned out a little bit here from Genja. Genja's trying their best to hold that lane up as much as possible, but Yellow Pete should be able to pick up the CS, although he's been kept away a little bit here.
Yeah, so he's being denied thanks to the sustain that Genja and Darker have. They're zoning Yellow Pete up based on the HP they risk losing. If they take these extended trades, obviously either Crepa's going to run out of mana from shielding up Ezreal, or obviously they're just going to be out-sustained. So instead, Yellow Pete and Crepo, let the wave come to them. They'll lose a couple of CS, but they'll be able to freeze it at this point and basically hold it here for the next 2 or 3 minutes and just control the tempo of the lane. It's on their terms, even though they are losing a little bit right now.
As long as they make sure that siege minion does go down to Pete. Oh, I think he missed it. I think he may have missed it, but we do see yet another sneaky jungler trying to get his way in there.
No red buff for Snoopy though, so he's going to be relying on landing that knockup, and you can see Genja and Darker immediately backing away. Pretty much I think they're still coming. Here's Diamond in the top lane.
Going in towards Wicked, he's going to have that passive available. Will he get close enough to the turret? He may well do. I'm not too sure whether they're going to be able to dive and get those globules down. You can see Darian working on one. Diamond's going to tank the turret. He should have enough, and it will be first blood. And it's Diamond that gets it, but in comes Froggen. Turns it around, picks up one. He hasn't quite hit level 6 though, so he's not going to be able to use the unstoppable force. Meanwhile, down the bottom lane, they're diving on towards Genja. Can they get on towards it? The knockup's already been used by Snoopy. The exhaust goes down. They haven't quite got enough damage to finish him off though, and they will have to back away.
Successful gank. Both flashes for Genja and Darker have been burned, so if Snoopy decides to come around again within the next couple of minutes, one knockup is practically going to be a guaranteed kill. First blood was secured up in the top lane. It did go to Diamond Prox and Xin Zhao, but luckily Froggen, being aware of the map, being aware of the pressure, he just sauntered on up there, got a ground slam down, and counted out that kill, or at least balanced it back in his favor, allowing him to even the score 1-1.
And they've actually switched the lanes up as well. We do see Zach going in towards that mid lane. We'll see how long Wicked does stick around in there, and you can see he's already gone for those Sorcerer's Boots, like Rejuve beat, so trying to get that magic penetration in. So we could be seeing a very different build from Wicked here on Zach from what we're normally seeing.
And it's something that we've actually spoken to Soaz about and mentioned in previous games, saying, well, if you get ahead, you can afford to build AP, but if you don't get ahead, you kind of have to build tank. And it's a situation, we'll see how Wicked decides to play this. He's even on CS with his direct opposite number, Shen, and without his passive, he is actually in killable reach of Alexich.
Absolutely, he can get popped down very quickly. No globules to help him out. Froggen does return to that mid lane though. Goes himself back, goes very tanky this time. Garen gets that chain vest on with the boots. So Alexich not really going to be looking at damaging too much, but it's the dragon they are setting up for and starting off. The question is, will Gambit go aggressive on this one?
Well, it does look like just their presence alone has forced Evil Geniuses away, and this is the earliest dragon that we've seen today. Starting it at around 7 minutes, they put an early pink ward down, and Evil Geniuses were borrowing a page out of the Gambit playbook. This is something that we see Gambit do many, many times during the spring split, going for those very early dragons. Froggen, however, is not building penetration like we're expecting. Instead, he's got chain vest as well as that cloth armor.
And while they did that, they did just give Darian all the free farm at the top there, and he's pushed heavily on towards the tower. Wicked just getting back in time, but maybe he feels he hasn't lost out too much. He's only fell a couple of CS behind. Of course, he did just get taken out, and he takes the siege minion down, so not really too much of a problem. The bottom turret hasn't been really touched by Genja and Darker, but you can see they do keep shoving it up right in towards the turret. They've gone back and by, and look at it again. It's a triple Doran's Blade for Genja once again.
Yeah, this is the second time that we've seen him doing this. I don't think it worked particularly well earlier in the day, and we'll see if this particular matchup is different. And I think the reason the tower is safe is because of Snoopy's presence in the bottom lane. He has attempted to gank once, and then obviously successfully ganked a second time. Right now, though, Diamond Prox is just soloing their blue buff, stealing this away from Evil Geniuses. There is no vision and no reaction from them at all.
Snoopy caught napping here, didn't really have the timing down, and Diamond has hit and run away with that blue buff. That is going to work pretty heavily against them, because I don't think it's not so important for Froggen to have it, but Snoopy probably would have wanted that one.
Yeah, definitely. Would have played into his favor, allowed him to clear a little bit quicker. We just got a glimpse of the mid lane there, where Alex is just actually losing a fair amount of HP. He cannot trade evenly with Malphite because of the amount of armor that Malphite has, plus his passive. Anytime Alex goes into deal a little bit of damage, he's going to eat a seismic shard and a ground slam, and he's relying on that Vampiric Scepter to sustain. Whereas Froggen's just going to say, well, you popped my passive, well done. That's back in a couple of seconds. Let's go and trade again.
Well, in terms of gold, I'm just looking towards the junglers, and you can see it's a 800 gold difference already between Diamond and Snoopy starting to build up there, despite the fact Snoopy did attempt to come in and get that gank. Of course, Diamond did pick up that kill in that top lane, which is helping him out. And the fact that he's now countering and helping out everywhere around the map is causing problems. EG need to deal with. Diamond is in that bottom bush and may well try and catch out. That Chain of Corruption lands heavily on towards Pete. I think they're going to go for it. The mid lane, though, is going to be Alex. He's getting caught out. He's going to try and pop his ultimate. It's not going to be enough. And that is going to be a very dead Alex. It's still hanging around, though, is Diamond.
Yeah, that was the last bit of mana that Froggen had available. He just dove straight back in there, used it unstoppable up in the air. All right, now, though, Genja is sitting in this bottom lane. Look at Dark. He's about to hit 6.
Would that be visible? Dark had just hit his heel, and he went into Diamond.
I'm pretty sure it would have given away his position.
Yeah.
If it did not reveal Diamond, you would have seen the spell effect flying into
You'll see the
bush.
tether going towards him.
Basically, they would have been aware of it. In addition to the fact that Darker was about to hit level 6, they got to be careful. He has the dive, Yellow Feet, Arcane Shift to safety, and the
Chain of Corruption. And, well, ultimate use, but then again, once he's flashed, it doesn't really matter. It's not going to land. They're happy to back away from this one. Wicked is continuing that farm in that top lane now against Darian. This one, again, is going to be a fairly passive fight between these two.
And that's actually a great thing to point out. First of all, even though the chain, you can't say it missed, because it was a flash away. That was a reactionary flash from Crepo, which is particularly difficult to do at that range. But the Chain of Corruption will be available before the flash will be from Crepo. So basically they want to rinse and repeat once that spell comes back up. Talking about the top lane, and Wicked is actually losing these trades because he doesn't have HP to deal with Darian. That massive Giant's Belt advantage is playing into his favor. And until Wicked is able to actually get some additional HP, it's not really going to help him out. Snoopy, once again, trying to be a very sneaky player.
He may well get himself in towards that bush. He's been snuck in there. Is he going to get in the second one? Genja nearly walked straight into it.
So close.
He may well just go straight for this one. Cataclysm is available. He's going to get the knock up on both of them, and the Cataclysm on both of them. Darker does manage to use the crescendo, but it's not going to be enough. Surely we'll get taken down as 4 members try and get in there. They still can't get the kill, though, and Darian comes in to help them off and just stand united. Froggen is there. He could die for this one, He's got unstoppable force. It's Darker that he maybe is thinking of targeting towards. Will they just be happy to take the turret? I'm not too sure. Meanwhile, Diamond Procs in the top lane. He goes on towards Wicked, but the bottom lane, it's still going off as well. We're going to try and keep our eye on both of them. Wicked's going to get taken very, very low. You can see Darian almost down in the bottom turret as well. But would you believe everyone gets away until the unstoppable force comes in? That's going to be 1 down. Genja's in trouble as well. Genja's going to get taken. Can they go towards Darker? One more hit will be enough. They are going to be happy with 2 kills though. And it is Evil Geniuses. They're looking strong in this bottom lane.
Such good play from Evil Geniuses to pick that up. I think in the top lane, Wicked survived the last auto attack from Diamond Procs by picking up one of those globules of health from his passive. He went from 0 health to like 100 health and just survived that auto attack from Diamond Procs. So great play there from Wicked, but he was forced to burn his flash, his exhaust, as well as his ultimate just to survive. And then of course all those kills in the bottom lane, but it has allowed Alex to pick up the tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, a turret apiece there, and the gold, look at that. Completely even between the two, 16.4k apiece. And Wicked now returning back in that top lane. They've got that haunting guys, but it's Gambit that's starting off the dragon.
And so they have got vision control right here. Pink ward in the river. There are no other wards from Evil Geniuses in or around the river. So unless they react very, very quickly, that's down. That's a free dragon for Gambit, just realizing that their opponents had backed after taking that bottom lane turret, and they managed to extend their gold lead just by a little bit right now.
Speaking of gold, you can see it all on the screen there, but the items is really what we do want to see as I confuse Panky on the camera. Sunfire Cape almost completed now by Darian. He's going to start becoming a bit of a pain in that top lane. We do see Snoopy's about to pick up that red buff. Let's see whether he goes looking for those ganks. It's really Darian they might want to focus on. Stand United is down, but Diamondprox is in position and ready to help him out. There's no wards whatsoever. We do also see Froggen potentially heading north, but instead he's going to stick around that mid lane. We do have the duo lane of Repo and Yellow Pete also in the mid lane, so they may want to try and shove down that mid turret.
So talking about Snoopy just really quickly, that gank in the bottom lane was really great. He had the foresight to just walk into the bush, realizing that the vision was on his side. So he snuck in, he got the knock up, and very crucially, when he locked down both Genji and Darky in the Cataclysm, a Yellow Beat actually arcane shifted away from the Crescendo, so he was not stunned up during that particular fight. So it was great positional play from all of the members of Evil Geniuses. Right now, Stack is in this top lane. You can see that Yellow Pete has moved towards the bottom lane. He may actually be picking up that blue buff for himself, and if that is the case, that's going to help him stack that tier of the Goddess that much quicker.
Yellow Pete is getting that blue buff, as you mentioned, and the mid lane, the mid lane was where we saw Crepo and Froggen sneaking up the river there, and actually the rest of Gambit. Froggen almost baited in there, but I don't think Alex even wanted a part of that fight, actually. He stepped away from that one straight away.
I don't think Alex is anywhere near enough damage right now. Even if you comboed it with a Crescendo from Sona, he's got no armor penetration to get through the Sunfire Cape as well as the Ninja Tabi that's on the side of Froggen. So Froggen's losing in CS by about 20 at the moment, but that's not too bad because he can survive the damage that Zed, Varus, and Zin will be putting down as long as he's got some interruption to their attacks. The knockup from Zac, the knockup from Malphite, etc. It'll play into his favor.
So let's have a look across the items. Bilgewater Cutlass and Last Whisper actually went for Alexic as the first item rather than going towards that Blade of the Rune King. So felt he needed that penetration, obviously against Froggen. The fact that he had stacked up that Sunfire Cape early on. Ping's going down at the moment. You can see EG actually making a bit of a move down towards his bottom lane, and they want to maybe try and get a gank on Darker and Genja.
Yeah, you can see Diamondprox realizes this as well, is moving towards, it's going to be 4v3. If EG hesitate, the moment will be past. The knockup gets onto Sona, and here's the fight!
They're going to get straight on. Crescendo comes out from Darker, and then the knockup was there. He went on to Snoopy. Wild Growth is enough to save him as well, and he does back away from that one. A successful hit and run. Diamondprox wants to get involved. He's trying to come around with Alex Ich, but Snoopy is already gone.
Yeah, that was fantastic play because of the fact that Evil Geniuses realized that they had been spotted. They knew that their opponents knew they were there, and they didn't wait. There was no hesitation. Snoopy got the knockup instantly, and the rest of the team followed up. Even through the Crescendo, they picked up that kill. And it's one of those situations where you go, well, there's a lot of ultimates used, but they got the kill out of it, so it's worth the investment.
Froggen happy to walk straight up on towards Alex. Alex is going to go aggressive, though. He does use his ultimate. Is it going to be enough? Not even denting Froggen really there. And happy just to walk back to his turret.
Froggen basically just like, dude, really? What was that for, you know? I think as well, Alex may have realized that he wasn't going to kill him, but it's a great gauge. How much damage do I do? This is a full health Froggen. It's a relatively short cooldown there on that death mark. It's around 1.5 minutes. So knowing that Evil Genius has burned all their ultimates in the bottom lane, Alex can afford to use his because EG are not going to fight until their ultimates are back up. So it's basically just free scouting because he realizes that he's got that time to play with.
He's got plenty of time to play with. Genji continuing that free farm in the bottom lane. Has gone for that BF sword now. Meanwhile, we do see Blue Ezreal coming out, which is almost a standard these days for Ezreal that Yellow Pete is stacking up towards Tier of the Goddess, stacking away along with that Sheen in there as well. It does look like Snoopy and Wicked are going hunting. They have spotted Alex Ich in that top lane, and they may have enough to take him down. Yeah,
they've got that penetration from the Haunting guys, as well as a lot of survivability for Wicked. Alex does not have his death marker. Flash is there. Here's the fight.
And they're going to go in towards him. The knockup actually missed there, but Let's Bounce will catch him out there. The should be able to explode. Will Alex Ich be able to walk away from this one? No, he won't. And it's Snoopy that picks up the kill.
So another great play from Evil Geniuses, just realizing where they needed to be and doing it at the right time. I do have to comment on Alex just farming though, because at 17 minutes, he's averaging more than 10 CS per minute, which is phenomenal numbers at this level. So kudos to him, but unfortunately that CS greed meant he overextended, which meant he gave up that kill.
We do see the Bloodthirster being completed by Genja. We'll see whether that triple Dorans works out for him or not. It didn't in the last game. As it stands though, he's doing okay in that bottom lane. He's been fairly untouched, but we do see EG again farming away the golems. Go on, Pete. You can finish it eventually, Pete. Go on.
So just stealing away the resources, denying the experience, denying the gold, and just, you know, the fact that tower's down means they can do that safely. And Snoopy again showing, you know, there have been more ganks from Snoopy in this particular game than I think he did in the entirety of the previous match that he played today. And it's great to see the focused effort right now. It does look like he's backed off a little bit, as it just looks like Yellow Pete and Crepo, they're trying to bait out a little bit of positional play here.
Well, we just saw Froggen in the mid lane. I know you see it on the camera, I saw it on my screen, and Diamondprox actually went aggressive and just went, whoa, I cannot deal with Froggen. And immediately Froggen just goes around and steals the wraiths from him, so no problems there. Froggen's feeling very confident in the mid lane, but in this bottom lane, you can see Yellow Pete and Crepo, they're continuing to shove it, they're continuing to farm. This is EG. They are happy at this game right now.
Yeah, especially because they've got such a good advantage, even though it's only... actually, they're behind in gold with 5 kills, which is massive right now. But they feel that they can survive the damage that's going to come down. The threat is all physical, and right now, they've got a super beefy anti-physical carry in the form of Malphite. Dragon is respawned. They got the previous one went to Gambit, if I recall, and this one really picked up by UG.
Yeah, a free Dragon, completely really uncontested. Darian's back in that top lane trying to keep on shoving there. He may well be able to get the turret down this time around, but you can see already heading up that river is going to be Froggen. And Darian immediately backs away, doesn't want a part of that. Froggen's going to get some free farm once again. Lots of pings going on across the map, and that was simply Alex getting close to that bottom lane.
Yeah, and it's going back to this defensive play that we've seen out of teams today. The pace has just slowed down, and teams are happy to farm it out. It actually feels like they're feeling one another out, seeing, well, what level are you guys at? Where are we at? Can we win team fights against you? You know, we know your champions, you know our champions, so let's see at a player-to-player level where we match up.
Another blue buff being picked up by Yellow Pete there. Just fired off the ultimate to make sure he gets it. Froggen's going to take this top turret down, I feel. Darian is going to come in to try and deal with him, but look at Crepo's already there. Darian needs to back away from this one. They might turn aggressive on him. They will do. I don't think he's quite got the damage to deal with him, though. And he's just quite happy to take the turret. So that's the second turret of the game. Just keep that gold lead to Evil Geniuses. But as you mentioned, the fact that there was 6-1 down, at that point they were equal on gold. And that's a worry, because that shows that Gambit are farming very well.
Yeah, and a lot of that comes from the fact that Snoopy's been ganking so much, so he's about 25 CS behind his opponent. In addition, Froggen is 40 CS behind Alex Sich. This battle has been going on for, what, 20 plus seconds, and basically both champions have got a mass of armor and health, so it's just a duel to see who's going to get low first and then walk away. In the mid lane, though, we do see a little bit of an exchange between Xin Zhao and Zach, but it amounts to nothing.
Yeah, the 3-talent strike knocks him up, but Wiki was happy to just sit and bounce around there. He is a blob that likes to bounce after all. The bottom lane's been shoved down, and again, Genja's just going to clear that one out. Diamondprox is going to clear out the wraiths, and we are back into the farming situation. Crepo almost caught out there, just putting down that ward at the blue buff. Pink ward placed straight away by Darko, but it's going to be Froggen diving in here. And actually, you have to use the unstoppable force to get away. He felt the damage coming out from Alex Itch this time. Now he has enough burst.
Yes, Blade of the Ruined King plus Last Whisper was going to be enough to probably get him within a couple of auto attacks. Even if that last Shadow Shuriken had hit, it still wouldn't have been enough to kill Froggen. There would have needed to be at least 1 or 2 auto attacks from Alex, but it's enough to scare Froggen away. With that back, though, Froggen has just picked himself up a Frozen Heart, so that's going to play into his favor and help him even more as far as survivability is concerned.
Well, now that the Iceborne Gauntlet has been completed by Yellow Pete, he's going to start causing himself problems for the opposition team. Alex just dodging out of the way of that one. So, where are they going to move? We do see Froggen, he's been back, he's bought, he's got himself that Frozen Heart, he's got the Sunfire Cape, he is a tank right now.
Yeah, that's basically his role. He's managed to find out Genja, Ground Slam is out, he has Stand United.
Stand United used already, and that's just simply baited out by Froggen now. I don't think he was going for that one, he was just simply having a little poke towards him, and he's happy to just walk away from that one. That does mean that ultimate's not going to be available for some time now. And meanwhile, you do see Pete continuing to keep pressure on that mid lane.
So the ranged harass that's coming down from those Iceborne Gauntlets plus that Elder Lizard is really going to help them as far as sieging is concerned, but it actually slows down the rate at which you can take towers. Because it deals that little AoE damage and hits champions, you pull turret aggro a lot easier as an Ezreal when you start hitting the tower. So Yellow Pete's going to be very, very aware of who and what is being targeted by those turrets.
You see Darren back in that top lane continuing the split push farm, but I'm not too sure how well he's going to do against the fact that Wicked and Frog can just go across and deal with him quite happily. This time it's Snoopy that's actually keeping close by. Don't think he really wants him because, yeah, as you see the ping go down, a little bit wary of what's in that tri-bush. There's nothing there.
Yeah, nothing right now. Snoopy's getting close to finishing his Randuin's Omen as well. So not only have, the carries of the top and the mid lane got a lot of armor, he's now going to have the ability to counteract their movement speed a lot. Right now, mid lane, it does look like there's some pressure.
It's going to be Froggen coming around the backside. He's already just been around the red buff area. They spotted him out, and they just immediately back away from that one. Unstoppable Force is back available, so it's just off cooldown, and he's just taking the raids. Froggen really is going where he pleases, despite the fact he's not on Mundo.
He's not afraid of anything right now, and he's tanking turret shots, he's tanking, damage from champions, and it's just because of the fact that he's got so much armor right now. We'll see whether or not he wants to pick and engage down in that bottom lane, because he has managed to, dare I say, find Genja, but instead it looks like he's just going to farm out that wave, while the rest of EG are content with the siege. They're content with building up that tier of the goddess, getting Yellow Pete to the critical blue build, I can, pentakill like double lifted all-star game, and then running away with it.
We do have EG poking this mid lane while this is all happening. Froggen's down the bottom lane. He's just happily free farming along. Genja's now come around there, but they may well try and cut him off around the back. We do see Krepo's coming around the backside. He's put that ward down. There's going to be an Unstoppable Force. They're diving in towards him. Stand United is not available. He does manage to get the Chain of Corruption off, but it's going on towards Froggen. Wild Growth goes down and immediately walks straight into Wicked, and that was a easy kill for EG.
Yeah, that was just served up to Wicked. It's not over yet. He's charged up the slingshot. He's knocked up Darien.
He does manage to knock him up, and that slow comes straight out from Krepo as well. And Darien forced to back away from this one. They're not going to pick up a kill, but they are going to go down towards that bottom turret.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be able to secure them, the turret, as long as they keep playing aggressively. There is a minion wave with them. Yellow Pete is now going to be bashing away, while Wicked is just zoning out Diamond Procs. He is completely preventing them getting in. Darien's been hit by that slow, and Yellow Pete was thinking about picking a fight.
Well, Alex is just continued to push up the mid. He had no fear that they're going to continue pushing on this one. EG are going to back off. And it does mean he may get some free hits on towards that inner turret. I don't think he's going to get anywhere close to taking it down, though. And it does, of course, mean that everybody backs away, and Alex is going to run.
So this is something that if Gambit decide to go for it, a split push type of strategy against Evil Geniuses, they need to be extremely, extremely careful, because the dive potential that Evil Geniuses has is massive. Even under a turret, they're willing to go because of the amount of armor they have and the amount of knockups. They can prevent you dealing damage. Right now, though, Gambit, they were poising themselves to, engage for this blue buff steal. Instead, think they're going to try start the dragon, and I think Evil Geniuses will want to contest this.
Yeah, I'm not too sure Gambit are in a strong enough situation there. Genja's already backed away. He's just like, no, I'm not part of this fight. You are not going to take this fight at all. And EG looking like they're going to come around, and it will be a free dragon pickup, I feel here. Diamond really wants to get involved in this one, but simply put, Genja's just off getting red buff. He doesn't care. He does not want to be part of this fight.
EG don't know that right now, though. In terms of the wards, they can see past the red buff, but not the red buff itself. You can see by the side, they've just realized that Genja is miles and miles away, and they've got the numbers advantage. Wicked, look for his slingshot. He may decide to charge it up and pick an engagement here. Piercing arrows out. There's the dragon.
There's the dragon going down. Alex Itch was off on the tower, actually. He's going to come around the backside of him. Let's see what damage he can do. Crescendo hits 4 members. Chain of Corruption goes across. That hits everyone as well. Can they hit and run? They are going to get one down. It's going to be Snoopy. They're going in towards the passive of Wicked. Is slowly reforming. I'm not too sure if they're going to get stepped down. Alex Itch is going to go towards him. There's going to be Yellow Pete. He goes down. And there's going to be a reform. Wicked gets back together. Is it going to be enough to take down Alex Itch? He's going to be Froggen taken very, very low. Where are you going, Alex? He's got nowhere to run. He's running towards an open lane, and Wicked's going to try and charge him up. Krepo's going to head him off. He's going to go straight across, and it will be Krepo that picks up the kill.
With 5 assists, that was a 3-for-1 exchange, and the style points from Snoopy. He gets the knockup, landed the Cataclysm, was stayed alive in the fight long enough to get another sliding combo out over the wall to safety. A great, great fight from EG, and the fact that they've built so tanky is the reason that they won it. They were able to out-survive the damage that Gambit was putting down.
So, everybody goes back to buy. Let's see what they come out with. Oh god, a Warden's Mail being picked up by Froggen. Just getting that a little bit more tanky as well. We've seen this a few times in the last few games now. Lyssandra's, or what's he called? Damn you, mind. Leandri's Torment has been so many Lysandra, it's in my head now, but it's been absolutely dominating. Interesting, Lysandra didn't get picked in this one, by the way. Wasn't even banned either, but has been very strong in the last 2 games. This time around, though, Evil Genius is looking very strong against Gambit here. 10-2 up. You can see it's just a 3,000 gold difference, so only 3-2 in turrets.
Well, I'm really happy you bring up the Leandri's Torment, because when you talk about it on Zac, it synergizes so well with Unstable Matter. We'll get to that in a second, as the slingshot is charged up, and he's not going to go anywhere.
I thought Darker was in trouble there. He got a little bit too close, and I think Wicked would have launched himself at it. Would have been a very squishy, juicy target there. Alex is going to clear that wave, and now they're going to motor on across towards the top line turret. They've already taken the bottom and the bottom inner turret, I should say, was what I was thinking of. They didn't take the middle turret, of course.
And talking about that Leandry's really quickly as well, Zack's max W is Unstable Matter, will hit for 8% of a target's maximum health. Then that will begin the tick of the Leandry's Torment, which is going to be, again, percentage HP, and that's just going to drop them. Right now, though, Evil Geniuses, they've grouped up in the top lane. They're going to take that top inner turret, while the rest of Gambit are saying, well, we kind of think we maybe want this middle one.
I was wondering if it was a bit of a base race starting to come out here, but they've realized that this is probably not the wise idea. It does mean the Evil Geniuses are going to take this bottom inner turret, but it does mean they've also come back around to defend it, and they've forced Gambit away. So clever play from Evil Geniuses there. I think Gambit realized they weren't really in a strong enough position, but they've still left this bottom lane open. It is only Genja there to defend it, and Snoopy and Yellow Pete do back off.
Yeah, and Gambit really were undecided. You've seen them splitting up. They've split into 3 different directions. One started to recall, one started to hit the tower. They were not on the same page, and they're not making calls as a cohesive unit. Right now, Evil Geniuses have now stacked up in and around this mid lane. They're going to get some deep ward down. They got a free turret in the top inner, and they were actually looking to interrupt the recalls to maybe pick a fight in that mid lane, but it was not to be.
Well, I think EG may well try and set up for a peel on Baron here, see whether they can bait anyone through. Froggen sat ready and waiting. They have a big wave at the bottom. They realize it's only a 4v5 here, and Evil Geniuses, wow, the crescendo only hit Froggen. It does mean Diamond's in all sorts of trouble. He's not going to be able to escape this one. He will go down. That means there is no smite available. Evil Geniuses turned straight for Baron.
Yeah, managed to pick off that single kill there, and just basically Gambit split. They realized that they've fallen for the face check, and Genja is just farming the bottom lane. He wasn't even there, even if they wanted him to be. So with the kill onto Diamond Prox, it's going to be a free Baron Nashor here for Evil Geniuses. Darian may try to get involved, but I think he'll just be throwing his life away. Against 5 members of EG that are this beefy and tanky, there's not much chance he was going to be able to get in there and do anything.
Can't even get close, and that's the Baron picked up for Evil Geniuses. They work their position. Genja's just continuing to farm in that bottom lane. He actually gives no cares right now what his team is going through, because he's not been involved in a fight for a while, and that chain of corruption would be vital, especially the way they were all grouped up there. If he'd have been in the position, but then again, Evil Geniuses probably wouldn't have been in that position either. Yeah,
basically Evil Geniuses baited Gambit into it, so even if Genja was there, it may have turned the tide. One thing I do want to point out, he's been on this triple Dorans obviously since the beginning of the game, but since about 23 minutes, was when he finished his last Whisper. Now he needs to sell the Dorans to replace the item, and we'll see what he decides to actually pick up, because it has been a while, and it's a straight GA, so it's the typical Genja build, but I really don't know about the efficiency of that third Dorans. It didn't give him any sort of power play in the early levels. It didn't equate to any, overpowering ability of Yellow Pete, and it basically just resulted in a bit of lost gold.
And honestly, I don't see him even close to doing the damage that Yellow Pete's got right now. That Mirror Mana has been completed. And you can see he's got the Iron Golden. He's causing all sorts of problems. He's got the utility in there. He's got, of course, the armor as well. And Evil Geniuses, well, they're just continuing on. They're just shoving down towards the inner turret. Gambit are nowhere to be seen. Alex Itch was in the top lane. That's another turret for free for Evil Geniuses.
Yeah, Gambit, Alex has been trying the split push thing the entirety of the game, and it has not paid dividends. It has not secured towers. The rest of Evil Geniuses, they've stacked up on this inhibitor turret. It's 31 minutes. It's 11 kills to 2, and honestly, they can siege as long as they like. They have got so much armor. There are 2 Randuin's Omens in the side of Evil Geniuses. If they wanted to fight under Gambit's tower, they could.
Something tells me some serious discussions happened with Evil Geniuses after the ultimate game. Unstoppable Force lands on 4 of them. Wildgo pops them all in the air. And that is going to be Alex. He's popped from where he's standing. Didn't even get a chance to touch the ground. Darian's going to get taken down as well. There goes Darker. Diamond Prox will follow. Genja's also having to back away. That GA's just bought is absolutely worth squat, because the rest of his team have just been decimated in the mid lane. They will take the inhibitor down. They may even be able to push for the game.
That was such a great initiation from Evil Geniuses. Knockup after knockup after knockup. EG managed to tower dive at 31 minutes. This is a surrender vote that's come out here. Fantastic, fantastic play from EG. They got ahead early, and they just managed to continue it throughout the entirety of that match. Very, very well played indeed.
It says attempted to reconnect, but we all know here that Evil Geniuses have just won the game because they stood up. Frankly, they stood up, they were happy with it. It does mean, of course, that they have taken down Gambit, and that breaks their duck because they've turned it around. And again,